Guys. Oh gosh. Hi guys. How are you? How is everything going? Let me see where we ended with this yesterday because it doesn't really look like there were too many updates. Um okay, here we go. I think this is where it starts. Hi guys. How is everything? How are you today? Hi Lauren. Yeah, Cindy says hello as well. Cindy is eating leaves that are falling from my lemon tree, and she's eating them on the couch. Love that Ukraine flag flying at the Kherson hospital. Yes, it's in Volnovakha. Hi, Crazy Cat. Hi, Evgenia. Дуже приємно вас бачити також. Hi, Polysci, History Guy, or Ryan. Hi, Mariana. It's so weird. So TikTok went back to handles, right? So now it's not names, it's handles. I just got used to names and now it's back to handles. Not that I prefer handles, but like, gosh, TikTok, make up your mind. Добрий день. Добрий день. You still see a mix. Interesting. Hi, Joe. Thank you, Silver Knight. So, how is everyone doing today? I'm still waiting on the response from the Ukrainian authorities as to my questions for the interview. I haven't heard back yet. They did say it usually takes about a day, but it was Saturday, so I'm trying not to worry too much, because if it was a Saturday, then if it was a Saturday, then it wouldn't necessarily, I think it would take maybe today or tomorrow or something, because Sunday, who's gonna approve questions on Sunday, Okay, hi, Sky. I put the same name in both. So did I. Oh my gosh, Novus, that's a lot. 90 Fahrenheit at noon is a lot. I really am not a fan of super hot weather, so that would not go over well with me. Yeah, that's the thing. I would add a day or two because it's the weekend. I don't think that operational command is really going to be super available. Oh my gosh. Thank you, Campit. I've never seen that thing before. It's so funny. Thank you. Wait, it's like the same thing as they have in car dealerships. I love that. How is the weather where I live? I live in New York City, so the weather is it's decent, I guess. Let me see. I was only out earlier when I was walking Cindy. The weather today is 84 degrees Fahrenheit, and it's supposed to rain from 6 to wow. It's supposed to rain through Wednesday nonstop, starting at 6 p.m. today. Okay, Sin, well, we're going to the dog park because you're not going to have a dog park for a while. So yeah, 6 p.m. to Wednesday. Yeah, I know. Isn't that crazy? I was just looking at it. That's insane. It means I'm not going to leave my house ever because I'm so bad in the rain. But yeah. So some of the things that I wanted to bring up today right away is we saw the articles about Russian invaders setting their bases in schools in Mariupol, which is a huge thing. It's a big deal. It's awful because they're basically using kids as human shields. And one of the worst things about this entire situation is that they're also so there are kids studying on the second floor, and then there are military bases on the first floor. First of all, I'm going to go into the whole amnesty or RU situation because I thought that they were so concerned over military being present in schools. So I'm quite curious as to where amnesty is with their protective actions. So that's one. Two, these kids see military every day, and military is fully armed with Z swastikas everywhere, and that's traumatic. That's traumatic. That's first. Second, they're not allowing kids to talk about the war in school, or literally, well, technically they're not supposed to talk about it anywhere, right? So these kids come to school to armed personnel carrying guns, carrying all of these like ballistic weapons, right? And it's terrifying. They're wearing Z swastikas. These kids just went through like horrific traumatic events of their entire city and houses being absolutely annihilated. Then they see these full uniform officers carrying ballistics and stuff like that. And to top it off, they can't talk about it. What they should be doing is they should be providing therapy for these kids, not forbidding them from speaking about the war. Hi, Karine. Hi, Gianmarco. So I think it's I mean, it's Russians. It's not like we expected anything else, right? But I think it's a whole new level of stooping to I think it's a whole new level of stooping low, because okay, one thing is treating adults like crap because they're Russians, right? And another thing is taking it out on children. And they're basically teaching a whole new generation to grow up and be traumatized. Like from here on out, it only gets worse. Hi Praxis and hi Carlos. Can you imagine this series of events? These kids were in basements hiding from shelling. Most likely, most of their apartments were completely ruined. Then they had to relocate. Now they live in horrendous conditions in 2022. They come to school, and there are men in uniform wearing Z swastikas and carrying ballistics. And while they study on the second floor, they have their bases on the first floor. Right? And then when they want to talk about it, they can't talk about it. And you're being brainwashed into these people being your defenders of the Russian language. I mean, they might brainwash them, but to be honest, I feel like these kids are going to come home and their parents are going to be like, no, absolutely not. Don't listen to anything your teachers are saying. Hi, Dubji. Hi, Rod. I mean, they're definitely brainwashing them. I just hope that Ukrainian parents are not going to let their kids believe it, you know? Because at the end of the day, these kids also went through these events, and they know that their parents were screaming, Russia attacked us, right? They know that the parents were saying the war has started. Hi, Larissa. Hi, Netlin. I feel like this situation is kind of like, you know, if Jewish kids were to go to school and Germans were brainwashing them that the Jews are bad, they would come home and their parents would tell them, don't listen to anything that the Nazis are saying. Right? I feel like the parents wouldn't allow that unless parents are brainwashed themselves. Hi, Kat. Hi, Kat. Yeah, some people will definitely go with it out of fear. Some people are brainwashed. Some people just literally won't even probably know. Thank you, Eunice. Some people, is your name Greek? Eunice sounds Greek. Thank you so much for the roses. Um, I think some parents honestly won't even know what their kids are being taught in school, to be honest. I think some parents are not going to necessarily pay attention, which is horrifying, but truth. And I think they're just genuinely not going to know. So it is what it is, unfortunately. Hi, Todd. Good to see you. How are you? Hi, hi, hi. You know, it's a very hit or miss situation because when you're in this situation, Swedish, my name is actually Jonas. Eunice is my given name for my Arab friends. Oh, I see. That's really cool. Oh, that's cool. I'm good. I'm good. Hi, Mashbuck. I was watching another streamer yesterday. They were saying these poor kids will have to be educated a second time. Yeah. So actually, Crazy Cat on YouTube is bringing up a very important point. She's saying, I was watching another streamer yesterday. They were saying that these poor kids will have to be educated a second time. And that's actually true because what they're learning right now in Russian school is they're not learning how to read, they're not learning how to write, they're not learning anything really. They're learning Russian propaganda. They're not learning history, they're not learning anything real, right? The quality of their education is complete garbage. And not only is the quality of that education complete garbage, it's also not really education, it's just brainwashing and propaganda. And so these kids, most likely, if they're in the first grade, they're going to have to repeat it at a Ukrainian school. If they're in the second grade, they're going to have to repeat it. So basically, they're just missing a grade and it's a waste of time because they're not going to teach them anything. They're not going to teach them history. They're not going to teach them. They're not going to teach them sciences. They're not going to teach them anything. Also, yes. So a lot of here is also that art tangent on TikTok also has a very good point, which is it is not just learning a second time. They also have to unlearn the propaganda. That is true, but I also don't think that the kids. Here's the thing: kids are impressionable, right? And kids are kind of like sponges. So kids sort of absorb everything that you tell them, which is why it's easy to work with kids in a way, right? I don't think there is necessarily going to be a problem on learning propaganda. I think older kids understand exactly what's happening. So if they're like in 11th grade and they're 17, like they're not going to absorb the propaganda. They understand that they just need to act like they do, you know, because they're adults pretty much. Young adults, but their brain is formed. They fully understand that Russia attacked and they fully understand that they're under occupation and this is the only way to go, right? Middle school might be problematic, but first graders, second graders, third graders, fourth graders, like they're sponges. It comes in and out, right? Like they definitely will have to work with a therapist when they come back to the Ukrainian territory because a therapist is going to have to sort of work through the trauma with them. But I think that unlearning propaganda really won't be a very big deal because it's, again, kids are sponges and they're just going to have to learn what actually happened and they're just going to have to see the real images and they're just going to have to see the real events and they're going to know, you know, again. And also, I don't think Russians are going to be there long enough to really brainwash them. Hi, Gap. So I don't think that we're going to experience a lot of difficulties with that. I think that the most difficulties we're going to have are going to be with middle school children because middle school children are not necessarily sponges anymore. They are, but they also have their kind of like worldview sort of formed, right? But they don't because they're also still not adults. They're still not adults. So I would say that middle school kids are going to have to be de-brainwashed, right? Because they don't necessarily understand fully what occupation is. and it's harder to explain to them because they kind of get everything, but they also don't, right? So they're in that limbo. I think middle school kids are where most of the work is going to have to be done. And to Bedar Tangent, who says trauma changes how memory works in the brain, I really hope you're right. It does. Trauma 100% really changes your like response of your memory. But with that said, I also think that a lot of this stuff trauma blocks off. Like, I think that it's traumatic to be in a school with military, and I think that usually the way the trauma response works is that these traumatic events are the ones that our brain pushes super back into our memory. So the propaganda and brainwashing might actually end up being the one thing that their memory pushes far away. Well, and obviously the bombing and the shelling and stuff like that. So yeah. Also, not at all on YouTube says, do you have to live stream every day? I don't have to do anything, just like you don't have to watch me. I live stream every day because I live stream every day because I choose to, and I want to talk about my country, and I want to bring you guys the news as they come every day for the past 24 hours. That's what I do. So technically, yes, I do have to stream every day to fulfill the goal I set for myself. However, you don't have to watch it every day, and that's a very, very, very incredibly rude thing to say, because it sounds like you're tired of seeing me on your notifications page. Yeah, you are a free person, so you can just go and not watch me. That's the whole point. And you don't have to ask me if I have to stream every day. You can just unfollow me, or you just don't have to watch me. That's all. So with that said, I also think that you might be a troll because your pattern of speech is very trollish, and I honestly do not have the time of day to figure out whether you are or not. So I'm gonna let my moderators decide what to do with you. I wouldn't block you quite just yet, but I would in the future. Hi, Turner. Oh, of course I'm gonna keep streaming every day. That's what I want to do, and that's what I set out to do for myself. Oh yeah, that is a troll. Please block it. Привіт, like Ukraine. Привіт. No, you're not. You're being told to troll these live streams. Yeah, of course. Well, I mean, hey, I don't know whether they're being told to, or whether they're just, whether they're just an indifferent American, but whatever it is, I feel like we bunch all of it up to trolls. It might be a troll, it might not be a troll, but the whole point is we are just not interested in them at all. So anyways, so I think that that one of the important things to talk about, also for everybody on TikTok who's worried about my dignity because I'm wearing a dress, I'm always wearing shorts underneath it, whether it would be, because on TikTok it's a picture like this and you can see that I'm wearing a dress, and I move around, right? So you can see my legs, and there are people on TikTok who will always be like, oh my gosh, be careful. Hi, Ukrainian man. But with that said, I'm wearing shorts under my dress, so please don't be alarmed. Even if I move and do gymnastics tricks in this dress, no one's gonna see anything inappropriate, because again, I'm wearing shorts underneath. Anyways, thank you very much. Hi, Ukrainian man. Hi, Tabitha. And hi, like Ukraine. And hi, Turner. I feel like the quality of the trolls has gone down. I guess all the good ones were sent to the front lines. Yes, Mashbook. See, this is funny. Because, oh, hi, Pamela, and thank you, AMAC. Thank you, Ida. So yes, Mashbook, see, I was talking about it yesterday when there was like a troll and they were going a little bit wild and a little bit crazy, and they were so condescending, and I was just kind of saying like, well, I don't know what you're so happy about, right? But Russians now are looking for military recruits in like train station workers, right? So I'm saying, hey, you are the most patriotic people in Russia, right? Because you are the trolls who agreed for money, but still to write all of this propaganda and work with it. I'm like, hey, the next wave of recruitment is gonna be from troll offices. So I don't know what you're so happy about, because I will see you in the news from the front lines very soon. And it shut up very fast. I feel like I might have struck a chord with them. I think I might have struck a chord with them. So yeah. And also to Ukrainian man who says, I don't think they come to watch your legs. Well, you would think that, and I would think that. Hi, Melissa, thank you so much. But there are a lot of perverts who come on these streams, and then there are a lot of people who care about me. And anytime, especially my female followers, when I move and I'm wearing a dress, they're like, oh my God, please be careful, you're gonna flash somebody. And I'm like, no, I'm wearing, so I'm just letting them know to save their to save them from being worried. So that's why I'm saying it, not because I think people come here to watch my legs, especially not on YouTube where my legs are not visible. But the thing is, on TikTok, it's a different angle, and I also want to be able to move around freely without having to like sort of, like like monitor, I guess, the bottom part of me. So I just wear shorts. Where did you learn your English? I'm going to let my moderators answer that for you, because at this point I get that question every day and I've answered it so many times, and I don't mean to be, I have no issue with it. It's just, it just takes up a lot of time on streams, and it's a long story. Yes, I know, Kat, you're one of the freaked out people on TikTok, but I am quite literally wearing shorts. See, I'll show them to you. There is shorts. There we go. See? So if I were to move, the only thing you would see is shorts. I also feel like I maybe want to show that to TikTok, because they love to take down people for nudity and whatever. And I'm just like, no, nothing to be sorry about. But I'm just gonna let my moderators answer it, because they know the answer. Well, Putin announced 140,000 more soldiers, a nice discreet way to get more conscripts to send to the meat grinder. Well, he's been quite literally doing, he's been trying to recruit people from railroad workers, which is like quite, I mean, it's not quite crazy, honestly. It's on repertoire. It's on par with what Russia usually does. They can't announce full mobilization, right? And they were disappointed with the numbers of people who were volunteering, rather not volunteering, in Moscow and St. Petersburg area. And so now they're basically just recruiting people from places where these people already work and kind of can't say no. And so the first place like that is railroad workers. And I think they announced that they need 10,000 employees of railroad to become army conscripts, which is very, 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 very interesting. Also, there was a video quite recently. I'm actually going to show it to you. I'll show it to you on here, because it was on Instagram, and on my iPad it's really hard to do. But let me show you. So Nazar reposted it actually, and it was there. Basically, it was a prisoner. It was a POW that the Ukrainian military had. It's a POW. It's a Russian POW in the Ukrainian with the Ukrainian army. So, and he is a member of the quite literally former convicts battalion. And he's talking about it, and he's describing how there are multiple battalions of convicts, and the Ukrainian military is asking him, and they're like, hey, so is this like multiple battalions? And he's like, oh yeah. And they're talking about who they were hired by, and they were hired by Wagner. And they were asking, well, do you have any training? Like, if you're a convict, you quite clearly do not have military training, right? And the guy's like, oh no, I mean, they showed us how to shoot, and they just gave us like X, Y, and Z. And so he was like asking a lot of questions, and this guy was just basically responding. And so the takeaway from this is there are full battalions of Wagner that are comprised of convicts from Russian jails. And they are mostly convicts for like violent crimes and stuff like that, because there are those, you know, like не забуду мать родную, tattooed people. So they're not just like your average Vanya who got to jail because, you know, he stole like chewing gum and he was at the wrong place at the wrong time. Like, no, these guys are fully tattooed in like Russian prison tattoos that have meaning. You know, Russian prison tattoos all have meaning. They all have like classes. They're all classified and stuff like that. So these are real convicts. These are dangerous people, and they have no idea what to do on the front lines. They were given weapons. They were quite literally shown how to shoot, and they were given out like munitions of different sorts. Like some had mines, some had bombs, some had like different kinds of explosives and stuff like that. And yeah, and they were just sent on their merry way to the front line. So this is what this lovely sir looks like. Oh, sorry, that was wrong.
Начнем с позывных. Ханзол, китаец. Ханзол, кто это такой Ханзол? Начальник наш.
Boa tarde, Lolasi.
Вот,
Grumpy. Героям слава.
это не зод, это просто кучка народу.
Ну, кучка хорошо, сколько человек?
70 человек там.
Ну, это
Ашники, кашники.
Ашники это что?
Это вольные.
Кто это вольные?
Ну, сами, которые идут со свободы, нанимаются туда.
Ага, а кашники?
А кашники это зэки.
Ага.
He's basically saying that his battalion, so the military man from Ukrainian side is like, okay, well, how big was your battalion? And the guy's like, it wasn't a battalion. It was just a mass of people. And he's like, what do you mean by a mass of people? And he's like, well, Ashniki at so Ayers and K Ayers. And he's like, what are Ayers and K Ayers? And he's like, well, Ayers, A, like the first letter of alphabet, are the people who got out of jail and who had recently gotten out of jail, and they came and conscripted on their free will. And K Ayers are people who are quite literally convicts who were in colonies, and they were offered to go free by joining the military and going to the war in Ukraine. And the guy was like, okay, well, how many of you were there? And he said 70. There were 70 people. So it's a battalion. Hi, Zero. Good to see you. So it's a battalion of 70 people, like 50-50. Some of them just got out of jail, went and signed a contract with Wagner on their free volition. And then the other ones were quite literally recruited from the colony. And it's interesting, like one of the things that I want to point out is when the Ukrainian military says, well, what is the name of your like platoon? What is the name of your battalion? And he's like, it's not a battalion. It's just a mass of people, which I find very interesting because he's quite literally saying like, no, it's not a battalion. It is not a legitimate military structure. It's just a bunch of people. He literally just called it a mass of people. And every time a Ukrainian general is asked like, well, your battalion, your platoon or something, this guy keeps interrupting him and saying, battalion, not a platoon. It's just a mass of people. It's a mass of people, right? So he himself understands that this is not this is not real. And also, Ukrainian men on YouTube is quite literally a troll. Nice touch, though. I'm sorry to say, but we have already lost the war. We, Ukrainians? No, we did not. And you are not Ukrainian. You're a Russian troll. And two, that other thing that, that he said was, "I'm so sorry that people only see you as a sex object, nothing more." Very trollish. Oh, I don't know. These trolls try to pretend like, my favorite thing is when they try to be Ukrainian because it's like, honey, do you think a Ukrainian person quite literally won't know that you're Ukrainian? That you're not Ukrainian? They're blocked by TikTok. Well, they're blocked by TikTok. Rather, TikTok is blocked in Russia, but they can use VPN. They can use VPN, and these are people hired by the government. So yeah, they can kind of avoid and bypass all of the limitations that your regular Russian person has. So no, they are unfortunately not banned from TikTok if they work with the government for the government, especially if they're, you know, Russian trolls who are quite literally hired to be on social media and cause discourse. They obviously can be anywhere. And VPN is one of the most popular tools they use. But also, I think that most social media did not leave Russia. It was blocked in Russia for regular citizens by Russian officials. And so I feel like on government computers, those limitations do not exist. So they don't even need to have VPN, I feel like. I think that, but they probably do use it in order to not be recognized as Russian trolls. So there is that. Thank you, Avery. Anyways, so yeah, and Russians can easily join TikTok. Oh my God, emails are so easy to create. It's not even funny. So yeah, when will these trolls realize? Yeah, that's I saw that. Did we block that sad excuse for a person? See, I think here is like the interesting thing. I think that the trolls, they come in and they just say hi because they try to like not say anything bad. I think that their whole thing recently is that instead of coming in and causing like issues right away, they come in and they try to pretend like they agree with you. And they sort of have conversations within the chat, you know, they sort of try to like blend in, and then they start spewing Russian propaganda right away. I also don't understand, like, to all of you Russian trolls who might be watching this, who pretend to be Ukrainian, you know, like when you write Ukrainian man as your username, which is so not like suspicious at all, you know, so subtle. When you write Ukrainian man as your username and then you go in and say something like, I'm sorry to say, but we already lost a war, I don't think you understand. Are you from Kosovo, Anna? I don't think you understand that no person in Ukraine would say that, not even because there's pro-Russian or pro-Ukrainian or like pro-whatever. Well, first of all, there's barely any pro-Russian people, and they're separatists, and they live in the DNR for the longest time now. But anyways, so nobody who's at war would come in and be like, I'm sorry to say, but we lost the war. Especially if you're an ordinary citizen. You know, you'd be hopeful to the very end. And also, Ukrainian people see what happens on the front lines. And we would never say that. So you give yourself away right away. And also, again, if you have a pro-Russian position and you think that we are losing the war, you would not call yourself Ukrainian man as a username. And if your username was a Ukrainian man, then you would quite literally be like throwing Ukrainian flags everywhere because it's a point of pride, not a point of being like, oh, look, I'm Ukrainian, I'm a troll, and I'm trying to pretend like I think we lost the war. You just make yourself look, well, I mean, all of you trolls look a certain way, and there's like really no saving you from that because you just are a little too limited in terms of intellectual abilities to your bots. I mean, like, hey, you copy paste, you know, but at the same time, like, these are easy things, and it honestly disappoints me how unprepared you were. Because I'm supposed to be like, I'm supposed to be having debates with you. You're supposed to piss me off, but you're so unprepared that it's boring. It's so boring. Like, you're supposed to mentally challenge me. I'm supposed to get riled up. I'm supposed to be annoyed. And you're just failing at your task so badly that it pisses me off how, like, shitty of an opponent you are, Like, come on, stimulate me mentally, dudes. Like, what are you getting paid for? To just chill here and copy paste? Ugh. Thank you, Nicholas. But so, yeah, if you want to learn how to be a better troll from somebody who, deals with trolls every day, welcome to my How to Be a Better Troll. Vasil went to check the mail, I think, and who's going to tell him that today is Labor Day? Who's going to tell him that today is Labor Day and no mail is going to come because it's a holiday? Who's going to tell him? Oh, then you should stop banning. Well, I mean, I can ban you for whatever I want. If I think that you're a boring troll and you're not even giving me, like, you're going to get banned. Don't get me wrong, trolls. You're going to get banned by any means, right? Like, eventually you're going to get banned because I'm not going to want to pay any more attention to you. But here's the thing. If you're a boring troll and if you're not even contributing to the entertainment factor of this stream because you're like, what you're saying is so boring to me that I don't even want to speak on it, then you're going to get banned right away. If you are a slightly more challenging troll, and you can provide for a topic to entertain the audience, and you can provide for, like, actually good propaganda to debunk, like the important things to debunk, then you're going to get banned after said thing is debunked. But yeah, if you are a troll and you'd like to learn how to be a better troll, you should probably just stay and listen. Because for real, you guys are disappointing me. And like, for someone who deals with trolls and is supposed to hate the trolls and is supposed to, like, speak very ill of you, you disappoint me, is what I can say about you. You are so boring. Like, do better, honestly. Like, dudes, you get paid. It doesn't matter how crappy of a job I was working. I always did it to the best of my ability. Like, you are working the crappiest job in Russia right now, right? And, like, you are not even trying to sound any less trollish or any less propagandish. Like, it's sad. It's genuinely sad. You come in right away and you're like, whatever you say announces that you are a troll immediately. And even these new tactics of, like, coming into the stream and saying a couple of neutral things and then coming in with propaganda, you think that works? You think that works? Gosh, it's so sad. Did you block the no war peace guy? Because I was talking specifically to him because he's a troll. And, like, genuinely, dude, like, I know you're a troll. Everybody on this stream knows you're a troll. Here is something I want to tell all of the trolls of YouTube, TikTok, Twitch, and whatever. Like, because, I mean, I know it's a person behind the screen and you know what I'm saying, right? I just want to let you know that me and everybody who's on my streams knows that you are trolls and you're wasting your time here. Because when I get angry at you, I don't get angry. I just want to say these things because there could be other people that believe it. Right? Oh, Ukrainian Men was blocked a very long time ago. Yeah, the last 5 are the same person, like, pretty much. So he's probably here from a different account anyway. But so what I want to tell you is that you're wasting your time on my streams, particularly because I'm either going to annihilate you because I know history and I know how to rebuff you much better than you do, or I'm going to block you and ignore you, which by no means accomplishes your job or what you want to do here. And also, absolutely every single person who watches me knows you're a troll. So it's like, your job here, not going to happen. Oh, yeah. I mean, Yevgenia, I'm honestly like, I just don't even want to, no, it's like, it doesn't, it doesn't drain my energy. It's just at this point, I figured I get trolls on YouTube and Twitch so often that I figured I'd address them, as a courtesy, I'd address them. And just to let them know that they don't bother me no matter how many numbers they come in. Zenbient on Twitch says, living in Germany now, what do you think about the energy crisis and how it might affect Ukraine? Well, what do you mean by how it might affect Ukraine? So there are a couple of different situations going on here, right? There are a couple of avenues to the energy crisis. Ukraine has a nuclear power plant, the largest one in Ukraine that supplies the most energy, which is the one in Zaporizhia, and it's occupied. I mean, if Russians consistently keep cutting the supply of from that power plant to Ukraine, if they cut that power, I'm sorry, Zenbient. I need 1 second. There is a lovely little troll here on YouTube who says you've been looking like a family member has died for the past few days. Honey, I don't remember you following me. So you're basically confirming you're the same troll, right? I'm so sorry I hurt your feelings, but that is not the way to say that I hurt your feelings. Anyways, well, that's a new one. Thank you. Actually, that's the look I've been going for. That's what I was, when I was putting my makeup on this morning, I was like, what would it look like? I want to channel like, a family member has died vibes. So I'm glad that you recognize that. Thank you. What a compliment. Quite literally. Thank you. Anyway, so Zenbient, living in Germany now, what do you think about the energy crisis and how it might affect Ukraine? So, basically, obviously, Ukraine is going to have a lot of these cities. So there is infrastructure in Ukraine that's destroyed. So there are cities that are being evacuated, and that's a huge energy crisis because, well, there are a lot of people like Severodonetsk, a lot of eastern states. Basically, so here's the thing. So basically, in terms of, I think that your question, I think I understand your question a little better now. Okay, so first of all, in terms of how it's going to affect Ukraine, in terms of how the energy crisis in Europe is going to affect support to Ukraine. First of all, the right-wing parties are the parties to support Russia. So obviously they're going to be blaming Ukraine. Right-wing parties never had support for Ukraine to begin with. So it's not like they're losing their support. They've never expressed support. Right-wing parties in Germany specifically are people like Schröder, and they avidly and openly support Russia. So that's not support lost. That's support that never existed. Then most countries in Europe with their leaders absolutely understand that this is not due to Ukraine, this is due to Russia. And that if you don't stop Russia, it's only going to get worse. And that Russia is using energy and oil to blackmail Europe. So no, there is no support withering. It's misinformation that support for Ukraine is withering due to an energy crisis, because the energy crisis is not the fault of Ukraine. The energy crisis is the fault of Russia. And everybody absolutely understands that. Maybe people in Germany might not understand that. Maybe people in some countries might fall for propaganda and might blame Ukraine. But authorities do understand that, and authorities are not going to be making decisions based on misinterpretation of the situation by the people, because they fully understand the situation, and no one's going to be the energy crisis only further shows European countries that Russia is not a trustworthy partner. In fact, when Russia cut off Nord Stream 1, again, as a blackmail option, Europe actually came out and said, well, you're an unreliable partner who's blackmailing us with energy. So obviously we made a good decision to stop purchasing from you. So no, now energy crisis in Ukraine particularly is bad, because a lot of the infrastructure was ruined in the east, and a lot of the families had to be evacuated from their houses simply because those places in Ukraine will not be heated in the winter because the infrastructure doesn't exist. So there is that. And the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant obviously is going to be problematic, because depending on the outcome of that, it might result in a horrible catastrophe, and we all know that. And then to use NBN saying, I agree with you, but these right-wingers are convincing a lot of people here. Well, again, as I said, it doesn't really matter how many people they convince. At the end of the day, it's the people in power in Germany who understand the situation and who are going to vote or not vote for the situation. People, right-wingers, always do that. They convince people of false scenarios. Lviv. They convince people of false scenarios in order to fabricate support for certain things, or not, or on the contrary, the opposite, right, of support for certain things. But at the end of the day, the people in Germany are not going to be making these decisions. Olaf Scholz is going to be, and the government is going to be, right? And they fully understand what where the energy crisis is stemming from. And obviously, this is like convincing the people that Ukraine is bad is the work of politicians like Schroeder. Yeah, exactly. EU has largely, here, Gap is right. EU has largely accepted that Russia is unreliable, and they're looking for other options. So it doesn't matter. Like, it doesn't even matter what German people are going to think, because they're just like, EU is just not going to be buying gas or energy from Russia. Anyways, let's deep dive into the news, because it's time. So you know what? I wish I could show you Cindy, but she's quite far away right now. But yes. So let me see now. Hey, come here. I wish I could show her to you, but she's kind of hiding. Okay. Thank you for following on Twitch. I saw that 2 people followed. So thank you very, very much. And also, I don't remember, Zenbient, if you were a follower before or if you weren't, but if you're not, I highly suggest you follow me, because you will be finding out a lot of these things without even having to ask questions, because I go very in depth on all of these topics. No, I'm not in Ukraine right now. My parents are. I'm in the United States and have been for the past 11 years. Sorry, I need to quickly respond to a friend. Okay, so let's dive into the news. American MRAP armored vehicles M1224 Max Pro are already in Ukraine. Take a look. Uh, 74% of Russians support the war against Ukraine. The Deputy Prime Minister for European and Euro-Atlantic Integrations of Ukraine, Olha Stefanishyna, called on the EU to ban them from issuing visas. Ukrainian brand Aronka released a scarf capsule collection dedicated to Two Step, a joint song by Ed Sheeran and the Ukrainian band Antitila. This is what it looks like. I think it's a very cute collection. And I want to find out whether profits from this collection go towards Ukraine, because I would think they do. And I really want to check out this brand because you guys know I like scarves. And these look very Ukrainian and very cool. Well, some of them are a lot, but I think that this one would be very me, particularly. Ukrainian choir Dumka performed a legendary song in the New York subway. Huh, where am I when all of these cool things happen? I would cry if I caught that train too, and that's why I'm saying, why am I never present when these are when these things are happening. But this was beautiful, and I think it's so amazing, and I wish I was able to catch that train, but I also don't even know which train this is. I would like to see if you can... Oh, it's an A train. Wait, let me see. It looks like an A train. Yeah, I never take the train anyway, so I would never be able to catch it. Irina might have, the Ukrdrak, but you know. In Kharkiv, while extinguishing a large-scale fire, Ukrainian rescuers saved a kitten. Now it will be handed over to volunteers for the treatment of its leg. The fire, which arose as a result of enemy artillery shelling, was extinguished at 12:16 on the area of 2.2 thousand square kilometers. Radionovna, hi. The Russian military shelled Mykolaiv with S-300 missiles on the night of September 4th. Hospitals, educational institutions, a hotel, and a museum were damaged. The head of the pediatric department of the family outpatient clinic said that almost all offices were bombed. Fortunately, there were no casualties. Medics are inspecting the offices and helping clean up the debris. this is what that looks like. Take a look. Also, guys, let me go turn off my AC. Hi, I'm good. How are you? Let me go turn off my AC because I'm getting a little cold, and let me see if Cindy will be entertaining you while I do that, because I do have treats and she does like them. One second. Cindy, do you want some treats? See ya. Okay, Sin. So this is huge, but it's a wait, sit, wait. But it's a cleaner. It's like a chew thing to clean her teeth. So wait, Cindy, wait. Let's see if she waits. Okay. Okay. What? Okay. Take it. Take it. Okay. Dude. Okay. She's like a hit or miss on these, you know? Sometimes she likes them and sometimes she doesn't. It's very strange. Sometimes she wants to chew on them and sometimes she doesn't. It's honestly incredibly strange. Let me fix this a little bit. There we go. This is a better angle. Cindy, yeah. I think Cindy brought up some real good points. She did. She brought up some real good points while I was missing. Cindy, what's up? Do you not want it? Come on. Come on, Cindy. Are you just supposed to chew on it while I hold it? Is that what it is? Okay. Interesting. Maybe that's why she never eats it fully. Come on. Come on, come here. Come here. Also, I think Vasil took my keys and went somewhere, which is a very strange thing for him to do because he has his own keys. Yes, Cindy's a very cute. Come on, look at this. Do you not like them? Here, eat this thing. Good girl. See? Look at that. Oh, hi, cow 2455. Anyways, okay. So I showed you this yesterday, but I'm gonna show it again because I quite like this video. So it's a Ukrainian military member standing with a watermelon. With a watermelon, and there is an artillery shell behind him. Hi, movie trailer. No, he did not lose his keys. Hi, Master. Zanozach. Cameraman did a fine work, didn't he? Okay, experts examined the Russian missiles. At best, it's the late 1990s or mid-2000s, says Arsenio Menendez, a NASA contractor who recreates weapon components as a hobby after studying photographs taken by Russian military electronic researchers. It's basically the equivalent of an Xbox 360 game console, and it looks like it's open to anyone who wants to take it apart but build their own copy. And this is a New York Times article. And this is a New York Times article called How Russia Uses Low Tech in Its High Tech Weapons. I'm not going to movie theater. I'm not going to tell you, or movie trailer. I'm not going to tell you my full name because that's just a breach of security. My name is right there. It's Yulia. And Glaze, I've been here for 11 years. So I did not get to the United States during the full-scale invasion. It happened way before that. In the fall, a conference on the restoration of Ukraine will be held in Germany, Prime Minister Denis Shmyhal said after a meeting with Federal Chancellor Olaf Scholz. Already this fall, we agreed to hold a high-level reconstruction conference in Germany. The Federal Chancellor noted his readiness to contribute to the detailed preparation of the recovery plan right now, so that after our victory, it'll be promptly launched, Shmyhal stressed. Then, this is something that I posted a video on my page if you want to check it out, but something happened very interesting apparently last Friday. The enemy asked for a short ceasefire. Hi, my hair is not lighter, it's just the light from my window. I'm sitting closer to the window. My hair is the same color, and the glasses are not new. I just changed them. I periodically do that to sort of change things up because I have a lot of glasses. But hi, good to see you. Very good to see you. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. Customize one. Okay. All right, so enemy asked for a short ceasefire on the hottest sector of the front line in Donetsk. For the first time since the beginning of a full-scale invasion, the enemy declared a truce for several hours in order to collect the corpses. Hi, Annette. This is what Russians are saying. Basically. They asked for a short ceasefire in the Donetsk region in order to collect the bodies of their fallen soldiers. Now, here are some of the issues that I see with this. One, they have never, ever, adhered to a ceasefire. Two, they have absolutely never, ever cared to collect the bodies of their fallen soldiers. So I would say that it's a tactic. And it's a tactic in order to distract Ukrainians, and it's a tactic in order to just stall, right? And I feel like we would ceasefire and they would fire back. So I do not think that a real question to ask for real things. Incendiary evening parties from the Ukrainian military in the Donetsk region. And this is what the front line looks like in Donetsk. And this is probably why Russians needed a ceasefire. I think that for them, this was an opportunity of they can't hold the line of defense and Ukraine keeps gaining territory. Slowly but surely, because it's not necessarily, Ukraine is not planning a huge, large offensive in order to get a lot of territory back in a short period of time. We've already discussed that. It's a very, very methodical operation aimed at, first of all, weakening Russia to the point of no return and then taking back territory. But also, while we're at it, we are taking back some territory. Again, slowly but surely, right? But I would say that this was probably a tactic by Russians because they cannot repel the fire, they cannot hold on to their territory, and they cannot hold the line of defense. So what they probably wanted to do is they wanted a ceasefire so they could attack back, right? While Ukrainians are not waiting for it. But, we're not that stupid. We know their tactics, and I do not think that the ceasefire happened. The largest camouflage net in Ukraine with an area of 22 2,208 square meters was woven in Lviv. In the Lviv Palace of Arts, 2,559 people joined the weaving. The youngest participant is only 3 weeks old. The oldest is 84 years old. Buk M1 air defense system eliminates air targets, and this is what that looks like. So basically, I also wanted to add, what it could have been done for is that Russians could have collected the bodies and mined up the area around them. So when Ukrainians are going to go forward, they're just going to get blown up on mines. The Russian invaders banned the import of any essential goods into the temporarily occupied Melitopol, Zaporizhia region. Every day, the occupiers demonstrate to the whole world a blatant violation of international humanitarian law. This time, a decision has been made to ban the import of any essential goods into the temporarily occupied territories, including vital medicines and hygiene products for children and adults, said Mayor Fedorov. The invaders' warehouses, which were destroyed in a week, here on a map. Take a look. This is a map of Ukraine with the destroyed warehouses of Russian invaders. There are a lot of them, and this is only for the week. This is summary for the week. This is according to the Institute for the Study of War. The Russian invaders forbid residents of the Kherson region to cross the Dnipro River and restrict their movement amid counterattacks by the armed forces of Ukraine. This is a report from the General Staff of Armed Forces of Ukraine. The front line is very wide and runs along 2,500 kilometers of Ukrainian land, 1,300 of which are active combat operations. This is some of the photos from the front lines. So half of the front line is active combat operations. Cindy, hey, come here. Stop eating your paws. It's really not good, Sin. Zelensky reported the liberation of 2 settlements in the south of Ukraine and 1 in the Donetsk region. Russia launched 25 missiles and more than 22 airstrikes against military and civilian targets on the territory of Ukraine over the previous day, according to the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine. Also, last night in the evening, very, very late, I did a talking live, and we used to watch interviews with Azov Regiment soldiers for a little bit, and I found this one interview, and that interview was basically done by Kyiv Post. I reposted it on Twitter, and I reposted the link to it also in my community post page on YouTube if you want to find it. To part 1, there is also part 2, and it's an interview in English, so not even subtitled, but in English, done by Kyiv Post by one of the co-founders of Azov Regiment. And he talks about how the myths of the neo-Nazis came in, how they got labeled as that, why Russia labeled them as that. He talks about how they prep. He talks about how they recruit. He talks about how the structure of the battalion is. He talks about the brotherhood. He talks about basically everything. And in part 2, he talks about his trauma of being in Mariupol and defending Mariupol. I think it is an incredible interview. And I think that as many people as possible should watch it, because it really shows you the true Azov battalion, not what Russian propaganda is trying to make you believe. And you can make your own conclusions based on the things that he says. He's really not trying to convince you in anything. He's just sort of expressing his feelings of what people are saying about them and what Russian propaganda is saying about them. He really breaks down where it originated from. It is quite amazing. I think it's one of the best interviews out there, and I think it's so important for most people to see it. The counteroffensive of the armed forces of Ukraine is noticeably developing in the south and east, Institute for the Study of War. The pace of the offensive will increase, while the Russian military will occasionally counterattack and recapture some of the lost positions, as well as launch artillery and air attacks on liberated settlements and advancing Ukrainian units, Institute for the Study of War notes. Children from Dnipro city set up a checkpoint on their street, stopped cars, and offered people to buy their toys. Thus, they wanted to raise money for a thermal imaging camera for the armed forces of Ukraine. They don't know how much they collected, as they didn't break the jar with the money, but immediately handed it over to the volunteers. Oh my gosh. These kids are so sweet. These are the kids. They were selling their toys in order to collect money for thermal imaging devices for ZSU, the armed forces of Ukraine. The representatives of the IAEA mission completed their work at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant and left the plant, Energoatom reported. The two experts are expected to continue their work at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant permanently. Great Britain is significantly expanding the training program for the Ukrainian military, according to Sky News. The duration of the course has been extended from 3 to 5 weeks and is based on basic infantry training. Extending the course will provide more advanced training, such as trench and urban warfare, vehicle operations, and battlefield training. Estonia, Latvia, and Poland allocate the largest amount of aid to Ukraine to the ratio of allocated resources and GDP of these countries. The Kyiv Institute of the World Economy took into account only official financial, humanitarian, and military aid from January 24th to August 3rd. But when compiling the rating, the cost of accommodating Ukrainian refugees were not considered. The European Commission has developed two instruments for limiting the price of Russian gas. The first involves limiting the price of imported gas from Russia, and the second creating administrative price zones for the most effective EU countries, the so-called red zones. Almost 600 people have been returned from Russian captivity to Ukrainian territory since the beginning of the full-scale invasion. About 100 civilians, including 53 children, and the rest are military personnel. According to Alexander Smirnov, head of the National Information Bureau, the return of people to the territory of Ukraine is very difficult. President Volodymyr Zelensky is not considering the option of controlled shutdown of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant to prevent any radiation leakage, as it supplies two regions of Ukraine. I know the Russians would like their reactors to be disconnected from the Ukrainian grid and connected to the Russian one. No, we don't agree with those reports, Zelensky said. According to him, the Russians have taken over 6 units of one of the world's largest nuclear power plants. This, they say, means 6 Chernobyls, the greatest danger in Europe. So they have occupied it, Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. That means they're using nuclear weapons, Zelensky said, and I agree with him. Ukraine is a nuclear power, not because of nuclear weapons, but because of our nuclear power plants. We have 5, including Chernobyl. The Kremlin started direct blackmail of the West and put forward conditions for gas pumping through Nord Stream 1. The Kremlin press secretary Dmitry Peskov said that problems with gas supply through Nord Stream would persist until Western sanctions are lifted. Oh, yeah, right. Okay, well, Western sanctions are not going to be lifted because you're proving yourself to be blackmailing the West with energy. So at least they finally admitted. That these problems with Nord Stream 1 have nothing to do with maintenance or whatever. They have everything to do with the sanctions. So, cheers to that. The Russian military shelled Mykolaiv with S-300 missiles at night. Around 30 past midnight, powerful explosions erupted in the city. According to city mayor Alexander Sienkiewicz, Mykolaiv was hit with S-300 type missiles. An industrial enterprise on the outskirts of the city was struck. The industrial premises and the roof of buildings were damaged. Preliminarily, there were no casualties. According to British intelligence, as of September 5th, 2022, despite its efforts to contain recent Ukrainian offensive action, Russia's main effort in Ukraine almost certainly remains its Donbas offensive operation. Its principal axes of advance in the Donbas remain at Avdiivka near Donetsk city and 60 kilometers to the north around Bakhmut. Although Russia has had the most success in this sector, its forces have still only been advancing around 1 kilometers per week towards Bakhmut. The political goal of the Donbas operation almost certainly remains to secure the whole of Donetsk Oblast, which would enable the Kremlin to announce the liberation of the Donbas. Russian forces have highly likely repeatedly missed deadlines to achieve this aim. The Ukrainian authorities have claimed that Russian forces are now under orders to complete this mission by September 15th, 2022. The force is highly unlikely to achieve this, which will further complicate Russia's plans to run referendums in the occupied areas joining the Russian Federation. Of course, Ukraine is going to push them out of there before that happens. Liz Truss became the new Prime Minister of Great Britain. She replaced Boris Johnson in this position. So Liz Truss won the Prime Minister race. So, woohoo! Well, how do British people feel about it? Sina, where are you? Sin? City? How do the people from UK feel about Liz Truss? Well, Boris resigned because he had to, but of course they need to vote in a new prime minister. So Liz Truss is the one who is going to take over Boris Johnson, and she's the one who won the prime minister race. Not thrilled, TBH. Liz Truss is a Tory. What do you expect? I'm not British, but I am invested for some reason. I know you're not British. Sydney's probably on your bed marking territory. My room is closed. But both operations were terrible. Liz Truss is great for her foreign policy. Boris is still PM until I think October 1st. Yeah, but at the same time, like she's going to replace him, and they picked the new prime minister. Well, but you guys didn't really have a lot of options, right? Yeah, both options were terrible. Exactly. That's what I was trying to say, is that like there was really not a better option there, right? So it was in between Liz Truss and what's the other guy, which both of them sounded absolutely like horrific. Yeah, well, I think she was saying that her first call would be to President Zelensky. I mean, to be fair, I wasn't worried about the support of Ukraine because it seems like it seems like Ukraine is supported by the UK as a whole, not just like, Boris. So I wasn't worried that like, oh, Boris is going to leave and the support for Ukraine is going to wither. And I think Liz Truss is like, she's like feisty enough to not care about Putin as much as like Boris didn't. But what I care about is like, obviously I would want the people in the UK to like their prime minister, right? So I'm not necessarily, as much as I would love support for Ukraine coming from the UK, at the end of the day, your prime minister, like it's not for me to decide who I like as a prime minister based on like their support to Ukraine, right? Because they're not the prime minister of Ukraine, they're the prime minister of the UK, and that's a different thing. Yeah, so it's like, for me, it's also sort of just, it's more important. Their policies about the country where they're the prime minister are more important than their policies towards Ukraine. Right, because at the end of the day, you guys are stuck with her, not us. Sina. The euro fell to its lowest level in 20 years. The euro traded below 99 cents on Monday, September 5th, as the European currency was hit by European economic uncertainty following Friday's announcement of a complete shutdown of the Nord Stream 1 gas pipeline by Russia's Gazprom. The euro fell 0.71% to 0.9883 around 5:45 a.m. GMT on Monday, its lowest since December 2002. Um, the remains of people killed and burned by the Russians were found in one of the garages in Bucha. Bones were found in the garage, and the premise itself was completely burnt out. According to the residents, during the occupation, the Russian military killed several civilians there. The law enforcement officers found chains across, a six-angled star, a hairpin, and keys at the site. So this is what that looks like. Herojem slava, David. So that is quite horrifying, to say the least. But surprising? No. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine reacted to pro-Russian rallies in Cologne and Prague against support of Ukraine. The problem of rising prices and utility bills in the EU countries. The reason: Russia's war against Europe, military aggression against Ukrainians, energy blackmail of EU citizens. The solution: the maximum support for Ukraine so that we would sooner defeat Putin and he no longer harms Europe. Emphasized the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Ukraine, Dmytro Kuleba. Sini, come here. Sini. Sin? Hey, come here. Sini. Oh my gosh. Sin, come here. Come here. Come hang out. Come here. Good girl. Good girl. Come. Come here. Come here. Okay, thank you. Come. Said Dmytro Kuleba. Sorry, Sini definitely is going to need a walkie soon because she's looking like she's going to need a walkie. The Biden administration is arming Ukraine with weapons that can do serious damage to Russian forces. And unlike early in the war, the US officials are no longer concerned about Moscow's response, according to The Hill. Also, she's not Master Zonozak. She's not a pug. She's a French bulldog. And no, she does not have breathing trouble because she actually has a healthy nose, which is very rare for a French bulldog. She does not need that operation to open her nasal pathways. Her nasal pathways are open. She does snore, especially if she's in a cone, because like she sleeps like this, you know, and her air pathways are blocked because of the cone. But no, she runs a lot. She does not really have breathing issues. The only problem that she does have is heat regulating. So she does not really regulate heat very well for herself. So she can't really exist very well in like super hot climates, but neither can I. So, so this is actually something that I want to pay attention to. The Biden administration is arming Ukraine with weapons that can do serious damage to Russian forces. And unlike early in the war, the US officials are no longer concerned about Moscow's response, according to The Hill. So this is something that I was saying from the very beginning, right? Is that nobody should care about Russian response because Russia doesn't really have an ability to respond, right? And the fact that American officials were always sort of like, oh yeah, we want to give you this, but we can't because what if Russia responds, or what is Putin going to think, or this or that. And I think we're finally at the point where it doesn't matter. And that is fantastic because that also proves that everybody sees Russia for what it is, for a pathetic country that talks more than it can do and that pretends that they have things that they absolutely do not. Baba, hi, Slava Ukraini, Herojem Slava. A suicide bomber detonated himself at the gates of the Russian embassy in Kabul, Afghanistan. According to preliminary reports, the man blew himself up while he was in line for visas when a Russian diplomat came out to announce the lists. Oh, so he wanted to kill the Russian diplomat. Oh, wow. That is interesting. Horrifying, but interesting. So that's Afghani resistance against Russia. Wow. Today, as a result of a fire caused by shelling, the last line connecting the ZNPP with the Ukrainian energy system was disconnected. As a result, power unit number 6, which currently supplies ZNPP's own needs, was disconnected from the grid, and that Hoatom reports. North Korean workers in the Donbass, Russian coal caravans in the DPRK, and the trilateral alliance of Pyongyang, Moscow, and Beijing. What are the signs of rapprochement between the Russian Federation and the DPRK, and what their friendship can lead to is explained in the video. So here's the video, and it's a video from Ukraine Now. Let me download it and I'll play it to you guys. You know I like Ukraine Now. I like Ukraine Now as a news source. I think they do very interesting compilations of videos in English, and I think they do a very great job explaining things and kind of giving you like a very brief summary of everything that's happening. And yes, so everything that's being sent to Ukraine is, I wouldn't say it's outdated equipment. I would say that it's not the most modern equipment, but it's times and times and times better than what Russians have. So it is quite effective. And I wouldn't say that Ukrainians need super modern equipment in certain ways, because Russia's equipment is so outdated that what we are getting from the US is working very well. The thing is, the US was having a hard time sending that in the beginning. So the fact that they are not concerned about what Russians are going to think if they send us XY is very good. But let me play this video for you. However, I need to do my setup a little differently so you can see it. So give me a 1 second. Sinunya, don't leave. Okay, good girl. I see you. Now, Cine Walk is going to be like a while. So, oh, sorry. Cine Walk is going to be a while. 1 sec. Mirror your video. Alrighty. Oh, no. Flip camera, mirror video. There we go. All right. Okay. Video file. So let me just do this one thing really quick. Героям слава, John. So one of the things I would say, so there is the American Patriot on Twitch, and they're saying that China is definitely a threat for the future and one that we should worry about. I semi agree with it and semi do not. Semi agree with you and semi don't, because there are two things that I want to say to that. One is yes, I think that we should be cautious of China. Two is we don't really know whether China is a threat or not. Sort of like we don't know with Russia, because one of the things about communist regimes and one of the things about dictatorships is that we don't ever know whether what they say they have and their powers are real and what they actually whether they actually pose as much of a threat as they say, or whether they actually pose more of a threat than they say. So it's kind of like a slippery slope where I would say, yes, totally need to keep an eye on China. What's going on within China, we don't necessarily know, because it's hard to tell when when dictatorships are, dictatorships, because we don't really have access to information. Zelensky held an hour-and-a-half conversation with Macron. During the conversation, the presidents exchanged assessments of the results of the IAEA mission at the ZNPP and also discussed the general situation at the front. Later, the French leader said that the only way to restore the safety of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant was to withdraw all Russian troops. Oh yeah, the threat for Taiwan is definitely real, but I think that now that Russia is losing this war, and now that the US said that they would step in if Taiwan was invaded, I don't think China is actually going to go for it. I think China is just trying to deter the support of the US from Taiwan, because China would obviously wants. China is not stupid. China is also driven by economy. One of the things that China does is China is a very good double player, right? Like they do a double entendre every time they enter anything, because for them, West is a lot of their economy depends on the West and everything that the West buys from China. So if the West were to sanction China, that would be a huge issue. Like, yes, we'd be lacking a lot of products, that's for sure, but they would not be selling all of those products, and all of those products would be stored in their factories and they would be backstock. Right? Dead stock. So that would really be a detriment to Chinese economy. And China does whatever is the best for their economy. So I don't think China wants to enter in warfare with Taiwan right now, because the US supports Taiwan. So it's one of those things where I wouldn't say it's necessarily a huge problem right now, because I think China is smarter than that. China is not going to destroy their economy to get Taiwan. I think they're just trying to threaten the US to get the US to not support Taiwan, so then they could do something. And they're kind of testing us, Ukraine signed a number of documents and received access to funding for digital projects under the EU Digital Europe program for 6 billion euros. The EU will support Ukraine despite any blackmail from Russia, said EU diplomat Joseph Borrell. He announced the need for the withdrawal of the Russian military from the entire territory of Ukraine, including the occupied territories. Latvian President Egils Levits has submitted amendments to the law of the Latvian Orthodox Church to the Seima, which is their parliament, Delphi reports. The initiative provides that the Latvian Orthodox Church will have an independent autocephalous status. Currently, the LOC operates under the Moscow Patriarchy, which supports the Russian government and the war against Ukraine. The EU and Ukraine signed a document on the allocation of assistance to Kyiv in the amount of 500 million euros. The funds will be used to finance the construction of housing and education for internally displaced persons. Invaders shelled the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant again. The blows were inflicted on a special building of the station. Here's what that looks like. That is quite a large amount of damage. And Russians are really playing with fire. And at this point, I don't know how they're trying to pretend like Ukraine is inflicting that damage if IAEA permanent representation is there. Zelensky made a last call to Boris Johnson in his capacity as British Prime Minister. He thanked for his support of Ukraine and made a very cryptic statement. I hope to cooperate with a great friend of Ukraine in a new status. Borrell is retiring, as far as I know. And there were rumors that Johnson wants to take his place. So let's see. The invaders turned off the Kakhovska hydroelectric power station, the General Staff of the Armed Forces of Ukraine reports. Part of the territory of the Kherson and Zaporizhzhia regions were left without electricity. Ukraine can help the EU mitigate the energy crisis this winter, Foreign Minister Dmytro Kuleba. However, this is hindered by the Russian aggression, whose plans are to limit the export of electricity from Ukraine. During the day, the enemy inflicted more than 40 attacks from jet salvo systems and more than 25 airstrikes on military and civilian targets in Ukraine. Carriers of sea-based cruise missiles caliber remain in the Black Sea. The threat of massive air and missile strikes remains high, the General Staff warns. Europe is preparing price limits for the Russian pipeline gas, said the head of the European Commission, Ursula von der Leyen. Putin is using energy as a weapon, cutting supplies and manipulating our energy markets. He is going to fail. Europe will win, von der Leyen wrote. So to someone who was saying that support of Europe is withering because of some right-wing German parties, here is my answer to that. European authorities know exactly what's going on, and European authorities are going to keep supporting Ukraine, no matter what the right-wing parties are trying to pose it as. They know it is Russia's fault. Ukraine has lost control over the level of radiation at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. According to Energoatom this morning, the Center for Predicting the Consequences of Radiation Accidents in Ukraine stopped receiving data from background sensors at the captured nuclear power plant. Energoatom specialists report equipment failure for unknown reasons. That is horrifying, quite genuinely. Russia is planning something. They're planning a provocation, and I do not know what the provocation is, but they turned off the Kakhovka thermal power plant. They turned off the last reactor of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant, unit number 6, from Ukraine. So they effectively disconnected Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant from the Ukraine energy grid. And now the radiation sensors are off and malfunctioning. 3 Bayraktar TB2 drones arrived in Ukraine, the money for which was collected as part of the People's Bayraktar project. As a result, the manufacturer decided to transfer these drones to Ukraine for free. With the money raised, Ukrainian people purchased a year's access to the database of satellite images of the ICEYA constellation and one of the satellites. Produced by Russian propagandists, the grandmothers from Putin's detachments released a new video dedicated to the real Americans. But they're not particularly worried because soon Putin himself will help American citizens. Here's what that looks like. Oh, okay, wait, this is a video from Ukraine now, so let me download it and I will show it to you as per usual. Full screen. This is actually quite funny because Putin has, they call themselves Putin's army, and these are like older ladies who for some reason, who are just, just so in love with Vladimir Vladimirovich, and they think that they can, that Vladimir Vladimirovich is going to help America because America is struggling so much and needs Putin's help. Funny, huh? But quite typical for Russians, I would say. Where is this video? I thought I just sent it to myself. Come on. Oh, there we go. I saved it and I didn't send it because, sometimes. Yeah, that's the thing. We are struggling in our own way, but just not in the way in which Putin can help, and Putin can't help anybody, really. If he can't help Russia, he can't help his own country. How the heck is he going to help anybody else, really?
Мне так жалко американцев. Прямо я не знаю, бедные люди рабочие. Их лишили всего. Их ни за что там считают.
Не плачьте, все будет хорошо. Обязательно Путин поможет. Он всем помогает, и американцам поможет.
Ну, мы надеемся.
Да.
Женщина,
Он
нельзя так
работает.
расстраиваться.
Да.
Не надо так расстраиваться.
Да, все будет
так
хорошо.
Вот смотришь по телевизору, прям сижу и плачу. Мне так
И жалко.
жалко.
Да, правда. Все будет.
So, hey guys, don't you worry. Vladimir Putin is going to come and help us all. Poor working people, and we have nothing. We have been left without anything. But Putin, Uncle Putin, is going to come and help us all. I sometimes go on Google Maps and look at local Russian cities, towns, and I've noticed they must not mow their lawns too often. Well, they really have barely any infrastructure. That's the thing. If you look at random Russian cities, they all look like they're recovering from World War II, and they all look like they're stuck in like the 80s and the 70s. But yeah, see, Russians feel really, really bad for us. Really, really bad for us, yeah. We have been left without any resources and we have been left without anything. So upsetting. So yeah, poor us. But don't worry, Putin's gonna come save us. Don't worry. Let's see if there is any more updates from, let's say, Kyiv Independent. Okay. Russia says 2 of its embassy staff were among the killed in Kabul's suicide bombing. Proxy claims that staged referendums in Kherson to be postponed. Russian court shuts down Novaya Gazeta, one of country's last independent news outlets. Energy minister says world is on the brink of a nuclear disaster due to Russian occupation of Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Podolyak calls on Ukrainians in occupied territories, including Crimea, to prepare for deoccupation. Mikhailo Podolyak, an advisor to the head of the presidential office, recommended that Ukrainians residing in Russian-occupied territories, including Crimea, take shelter, stock up on water, and charge their power banks. Explosions have been reported in Crimea since early August. Russia sanctions Hollywood actor Ben Stiller and Sean Penn. Wah, 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 wah. Yeah. Air Force, Ukrainian forces shut down 3 Russian drones. Okay, so that is it for the news from Ukraine today. If you guys if you guys got here late, if you guys missed a bunch, if you guys want to see more of the news, more videos on Ukraine, please, you're welcome to follow me. Thank you. You're welcome to follow me on YouTube, Twitch, or Twitter. This newscast is available simultaneously on YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. On Twitter, it's saved and you can watch it at any time, but you have to scroll and find them. On YouTube, it's also saved and you can watch it at any time, and you can watch all of them at any time. And then on Twitch, the last 2 weeks are shown. Pics of Dugina's suspected killer, but that was the woman, and she was... let me see. Let me see. But that was old news, unless I missed something today. New one. Oh my gosh. I am not getting that yet. I'm not getting the new pictures of Daria Dugina's suspected new killer. So, so I will be able to show that to you later tonight when I do the like talk, you know, the talk hangout time, if I find it. But I will certainly look for it. Now, I do need to go, Cindy. Thank you for hanging out. Again, please follow me on Twitter. I do repost news there all the time, so it's kind of like a 24-hour stream of news. It's obviously not every second, but I do add new things. I do repost important information. I post some commentary, so Twitter has become a resource recently more than it used to be. Hi, Jen. And it was so nice to see you guys, and I will see you later today. I would hang out for a little while, but I do need to go walk Beast because Beast seems like she really needs a walkie. Alrighty. Bye, guys. Have a good day, and it was so good to see you. Bye, bye, bye.